What's up, functional bodybuilders? We're talking Nordic hamstring curl today. This exercise is one of the most potent hamstring developers that we have. It is a terrific exercise to build the back of the knee strength and optimize your knee health, and also help you with cleans and pulling off the floor and general speed and athleticism. Now, getting set up for the Nordic hamstring curl means a couple things as I see it. Number one, I am fortunate to have what is called a Nordic bench. This is designed for this exercise. Now, what makes it so special is that it provides me with a very, very secure heel attachment where my feet are gonna lock into place. And it has padding. You want padding on that. I've seen people do this with barbells, heavy barbells, which is an option to lock your heels into place. But if the back of your heel cord is pressing against something hard, it's gonna feel really junky when you're doing these repetitions. So the more padding you can get back here, the better. Second, there's tons of padding on my knees. This is a really soft pad. So as I go down, as I'm going into this exercise, my knees are gonna drive into whatever surface I'm on. If you're doing this on the hard rubber surface or even a very thin pad, it's gonna feel awkward. So I encourage you to get mats. You can get any type of flooring, gymnastic mat, multiple yoga mats rolled up. Get a lot of softness and cushion underneath your knees and your heels. Towels work terrific for this. There's plenty of options on YouTube to go and investigate ways of getting Nordic hamstring curls set up with common gym equipment, but let me show you a couple that can work for you. The first is over here, and that is, if you're in a commercial gym or you have access to something like this, a lat pull down machine has this for your knees when you're doing lat pull downs. You can adjust the height of this to be a really good heel catch, and in many different situations that I've seen, you can put yourself up on a pad like this. You can even get a wider pad or another gymnastics pad, and then you can perform your Nordics on there, all right? Secondly, we'll go back to the bench, and if you have just a very generic bench for bench pressing, you can create a Nordic with a lifting belt. Now make sure the lifting belt itself is quite secure, but you would take that lifting belt and you would wrap it around your heels. Once it's wrapped around your heels and secure, you're gonna be able to perform essentially what I was just gonna show you on the Nordic bench. So you get that thing really tight. If you have a leather belt or even one of these Velcro belts, just make sure it's really secure before you start. And then last but not least, you could be on a bench and you could have a friend who weighs as much as you or more sit on your heels or hold them down really securely. Now that we've covered how you might actually get into a Nordic setup and you wanna have padding on your heels and on your knees, let me show you two things that are really important when you're learning this exercise. It's all about regression because this movement is extremely challenging, and a full range of motion Nordic might not be in your future for quite some time. So how we train this is lots of negative repetitions or eccentric overloading. That's how it's gonna build up a lot of strength. Eccentric overloading looks like going slow on the way down and then fast on the way up. Now I'm showing you how to start this with a partial range of motion. A full Nordic negative would be me dropping my whole torso down to the floor, to the pad, the surface that I'm on. What you can do is you can start with a bench in front of you, and you can lower yourself slowly until your hips or your waist touch the bench, and then come back up. Lower yourself slowly until your hips or waist touch the bench, and then come back up. One of the most common mistakes that I see in this particular exercise is that people will slowly lower themselves to a point where it gets hard, and then they'll just drop and push back up. So it's lowering under control, and then, oh, it's getting hard, I'll just drop. Ooh, it's getting hard, I drop. This is what it looks like when you do the same thing to a full range of motion. I see this very commonly. Okay, it's hard, 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 hard. Okay, I'm dropping. And then I'm pushing back up. Hard, 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 hard. Okay, dropping, pushing back up. We want to train this muscle, the hamstring, and this movement pattern through a full range of motion, as full a range of motion as possible. And I understand that towards the end, you're going to feel extremely weak. You might even feel vulnerable. And that's why it's important to use your arms and your upper body to gradually decrease the amount of force that you're actually having to overcome. What do I mean by that? I'll put this bench back in place, but I'm going to put it a little further out. So as I lower, this is where it gets hard and I want to give up. So I give myself a little bit of support, barely touching. I'm giving myself more support, but I'm still not giving my full weight up. I'm holding, 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 and then now I go back up. So by gradually receiving my body weight with my hands as I go down, I get tension throughout the full range of motion. Yeah, it was 100% of my body weight, 70%, 50%, 30%. I'm barely doing any work at the end, but I'm still working through the whole range of motion. I never give up and fall to the mat. So lastly here, I'll do the same thing, going down, going down. Oh, it's getting hard. Oh, it's getting hard. Oh, it's getting hard. And I push back up. So I am always giving myself just enough support to get me to that next point in the range of motion. Don't fall into the pattern of just collapsing at the bottom. And going back to where we started, if your heels are uncomfortable, if your knees are uncomfortable because of the surface that you're on, you are not going to want to fight through those extra inches. And it's those extra inches, that last range of the motion, that is so valuable to the knee health, the hamstring health. So make sure your setup is correct. Play around with it for a bit. Search on YouTube for other alternatives if you can't make one of these work. Although the bench with the lifting belt is a great option. It's a very cheap option because most gyms have a bench and you can get a weight belt relatively easy. And then once you've got a great setup, then remember, you're holding your tension through the full range of motion and you're gradually using the arms to support you on the way down. I really hope this one helps you. Make sure you get your Nordics in. Make sure you do them right. You're going to see a tremendous amount of improvement in your hamstring and your knee health. And if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. We'll see you next time.